3 generations of the Qing family, and not a single boy. The day I was born, my grandfather, who'd been bedridden for 10 years, stood up from his wheelchair. The Qing family had gone 3 generations without a male heir. The day I was born, my grandfather, who hadn't left his wheelchair in a decade, stood up on his own 2 feet. The entire family treated me like a living treasure. My sister handled everything for me. My cousins would have ripped the stars out of the sky just to hand them to me. That is, until my sister's clueless boyfriend grabbed my chin and said, "Stay away from your sister." I didn't get angry. I just pulled out my phone and dialed a number. Chapter 1. My name is Ji Huai. The Qing family, 3 generations, 27 children, all girls. Can you wrap your head around that? My grandfather had 3 daughters in his youth. His older brother had 4. His younger brother had 2. By my mother's generation, my eldest aunt had 2 girls, my second aunt had 3, and my third aunt flat out refused to have any more kids. When my mom married my dad, her first pregnancy gave them my older sister, a girl. My grandfather didn't say a word. He just sat in his wheelchair, silent, for 3 more days. Then my mom got pregnant again. On the day of the checkup, my dad went with her to the hospital. The moment that ultrasound report came out, apparently my dad's hands were shaking so bad he couldn't even sign his name. A boy. When he called my grandfather, he put the phone on speaker. My mom said there was 5 full seconds of silence on the other end. Then came the sound of a wheelchair toppling over. And then, my grandfather's voice. "Send me that ultrasound report. Now! Right this second." The day I was born, my grandfather walked to the hospital on his own. Not pushed there. Walked. A man who hadn't left his wheelchair in 10 years, gripping his cane, made it from the front door all the way to the 3rd floor of the inpatient building. A nurse tried to stop him. He cracked her hand with his cane. "Where's my grandson?" From that day on, my life has been anything but normal. How abnormal, you ask? Let me give you an example. When I was 6, I took my first real fall. Skinned my knee. Barely. My mom cried. My sister cried. My eldest cousin Lu Zheng took leave from work and flew back. My second cousin Han Jin, still in high school at the time, straight up jumped the school fence to come see me. And my grandfather? He called in 3 family doctors. 3. For a skinned knee. Even back then, I knew this family might be a little off. But whatever. Being the most cherished person in the whole family, I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel good. I'm 19 now. A freshman in college. Other people go to college to spread their wings and fly free. I went to college and just got relocated to a different cage. My sister, Ji Ro, is 23. She finished grad school and immediately rented an apartment right next to my campus. Her reason? So I can take care of you. Take care of what? My clothes. Every morning at 7 sharp, she's standing at the bottom of my dorm building, holding 3 coordinated outfits for me to pick from. My food. She thinks the campus cafeteria is unsanitary, so she brings me home-cooked meals every single day, sometimes with a handwritten note. Eat more. Stop playing on your phone. My social life. If I talk to any female classmate for more than 3 minutes, she'll casually ask me that night, "So who were you chatting with today?" Think that's it? My eldest cousin, Lu Zheng, the first daughter of the Qing family's 3rd generation, runs half a commercial street in the family business. Her way of caring is a bit more direct. Every month, she transfers 50,000 yuan into my account. The first time I told her, "That's too much. I can't spend it all," the look she gave me was like I'd just said something treasonous. "Only 50,000? What can you even do with that? Your cousin earns money so you can spend it." My second cousin, Han Jin, she's even more ridiculous. She goes to the same school as me. A junior. Other people's cousins on campus are just independent individuals. My cousin on campus is my personal radar system. If anyone so much as gives me a slightly rude attitude, she'll materialize in front of them within 20 minutes. Last time, a senior in my club snapped at me a couple of times, and Han Jin went straight to the club advisor. That senior has been walking in the opposite direction whenever he sees me ever since. I'm used to it. Really, I am. 19 years of being cradled by an entire family, I've stopped being surprised by any of it. Life just went on. Calm. Steady. Until my sister got a boyfriend. Fong Su. 25. Sales director at some tech company. Drives a white BMW 3 Series. Wears a Longines watch. His hair is styled like a Korean drama lead. And he smiles with exactly 8 teeth showing. When my sister first posted his photo in the family group chat, everyone was singing his praises. Ro has great taste. Pretty handsome. And his job's solid too. When are you bringing him home to meet everyone? But my grandfather? He replied with just 3 words. Where's he from? My sister said he's from the north. My grandfather didn't respond after that. I didn't think much of it. My sister's love life is her business. What's it got to do with me? Until last week. My sister told me Fong Su wanted to meet me. Why would your boyfriend want to meet me? He said he wants to get to know your brother. We've been together almost half a year. And he keeps saying he wants to meet you. When my sister said that, she was smiling so sweetly. That kind of sweet that comes from being completely drunk on love. I looked at her, opened my mouth, almost said something, swallowed it back. Whatever. If he wants to come, let him come. Fine. My sister was so happy she grabbed my head and kissed me right on the forehead. You're going to love him. I should have been on guard right then. Every single thing someone has ever sworn I'd definitely love, I've ended up wanting to kick with my foot. Like the carrot juice my eldest aunt pushed on me as a kid. Like the piano lessons my mom signed me up for in middle school. Like now, my sister's Fong Su. Chapter 2 Saturday, 3 in the afternoon. My sister's apartment. When I arrived, Fong Su was already there. He was lounging on the sofa, legs crossed, left arm draped over the backrest, right hand scrolling through his phone. When he saw me walk in, he tilted his chin up. You're here. 2 words. The tone was like a boss greeting a new intern. I glanced at him, said nothing, changed my shoes, and walked in. My sister poked her head out of the kitchen. Why's here? Wash your hands. Dinner's almost ready. Fong Su called out from behind me. Hey. I turned around. He wagged his phone at me. Come on. Let's add each other on WeChat. Easier to stay in touch. I pulled out my phone and scanned his code. His WeChat name was Rising Sun in the East. His profile picture was a half-body shot of him standing in front of his BMW. I barely kept a straight face. Added. Good. He crossed his legs again and went back to staring at his screen. At dinner, my sister had made a whole table of dishes, 6 courses and a soup. She ladled me a bowl of soup first, set it in front of me, then picked up a piece of spare rib and put it on my plate. Only after that did she turn to Fong Su. Try some. I learned a new recipe today. Fong Su glanced at the table. Is this it? My sister blinked. What's wrong? Not enough. It's not that it's not enough. He set down his chopsticks. His expression casual. I do a lot of business dinners. I'm used to eating well. Your cooking still needs work. My hand paused mid-reach for the spare rib. My sister smiled. Okay, I'll keep practicing. There was a slight strain in her voice. But she pushed it down quickly. Fong Su didn't notice. Or maybe he just didn't care. He launched into a long story about the big contract he'd signed last week, a 3 million yuan project. The client had taken him out for Japanese food. 2,000 yuan per person. You students probably haven't eaten at that level. I'll treat you sometime. He said it while looking at me. That look. How do I describe it? Like an adult showing off his collection of Ultraman cards to a little kid. I didn't respond. I kept eating my spare rib. My sister smoothed things over from the side. Huaihuai's still in school. Let's wait until he graduates. School's good. Fong Su took another sip of soup. Young people should read more. The competition out there is fierce. But your brother's major. He glanced at me. What was it again? Finance. Finance. Ha. He nodded, with that tone of someone who's been around. That field's tough. I have a few friends who studied finance. They all switched careers after graduating. If you need to, just tell me. I'll see if I can arrange a position for you at my company. When he said arrange, a smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. The smile of someone granting a favor. I set down my chopsticks and wiped my mouth with a napkin. Thanks. But I'm good. Don't be shy. We're family. Family. He actually considered himself family. I glanced at my sister. She was beaming at Fong Su, wearing that my boyfriend is so responsible expression. Forget it. I went back to eating. That meal felt like sitting on pins and needles. Fong Su spent the entire time showcasing his superior life, his new watch, the modified parts on his car, the golf game he'd played with a client last week, the big shot executive he knew. Every time he mentioned something, he'd glance at me. I could see exactly what was in that look. It wasn't friendliness. It wasn't closeness. It was a declaration of territory. Like he was saying, your sister belongs to me now. You'd better know your place. After dinner, my sister cleared the dishes. I sat in the living room scrolling through my phone. Fong Su sat across from me. He put his phone down and suddenly spoke. Ji Huai. I looked up. Do you always cling to your sister like this? His tone was casual, like he was just making small talk. But the way those eyes fixed on me, there was nothing casual about it. She's my sister, I said. We live close. It's normal to see each other often. Seeing each other often is normal. He leaned forward slightly, lowering his voice. But you're 19 now. A grown man. Don't run to your sister for everything. She has her own life too, right? I looked at him. What are you trying to say? He smiled, leaned back. Nothing. Just chatting. Don't take it personally. I said nothing. The sound of running water came from the kitchen. My sister was washing the dishes. Fong Su picked up his phone again and scrolled. Like nothing had happened. When I left that day, my sister walked me to the door. What do you think of him? She asked. Eyes bright. I looked at her. Thought for 2 seconds. Not bad. I didn't tell her the truth. Because my sister was rarely this happy. I didn't want to pour cold water on that expression of hers. On the way back, Han Jin texted me. So, is your sister's guy decent or not? I replied with 4 words. Let's wait and see. That wait and see didn't take long. Chapter 3, the second time we met was a week later. My sister's birthday. She'd thrown a small gathering at home, a few close girlfriends, me, and Fong Su. When I arrived, Fong Su was already sitting in the living room. This time, he had someone else with him, his buddy, a heavy-set guy with a gold chain, who introduced himself as Zhang Lei. Zhang Lei sized me up the moment he saw me. So this is your girlfriend's little brother, pretty fair-skinned. Fong Su laughed and clapped Zhang Lei on the shoulder. He's in college. Just a kid. A kid. That was the second time he'd talked about me that way. I found a corner to sit in and sent my sister a birthday red packet. 666. She replied quickly. Got it. Thanks. Little bro. You get the first slice of cake tonight. I just sent it when Fong Su's voice drifted over from the living room. He was talking to Zhang Lei. Loud enough for the whole room to hear, but not quite shouting. Let me tell you. My goal this year is to switch cars. I've had the 3 Series for 2 years. Thinking about upgrading to a 5 Series. Zhang Lei played along perfectly. The 5 Series is solid. Lots of face. Face is part of it. Mainly, I want to make it easier to take Ji-ro out. She's great in every way, but she doesn't really know how to enjoy life. She'll need to change little by little once she's with me. I glanced at him. He happened to look back at me. Our eyes met. He raised an eyebrow at me and smiled. I looked down and kept scrolling through my phone. When it was time to cut the cake, my sister handed the first slice to me. Fong Su had just reached out to take the first piece himself. When he saw the cake being passed to me instead, his hand froze midair, just for a split second. Then he pulled his hand back, still smiling. But that smile wasn't quite right. The corners of his mouth were up. His eyes didn't move with them. My sister didn't notice. She was busy cutting slices for everyone else. After the party wound down, the girlfriends left first. I helped my sister clean up the living room. Fong Su had gone out to the balcony for a smoke. Zhang Lei following him. As I passed by the balcony, I heard them talking. You're just going to let her brother walk all over you? Zhang Lei's voice. What am I supposed to do? Her brother comes first in her heart. I've been with her for 6 months. If that brother of hers so much as calls, she drops everything and runs. Fong Su's voice carried a suppressed frustration. Then you need to figure something out. You can't keep letting some little brat push you around, right? I know. I'm thinking about it. The balcony went quiet for 2 seconds. I didn't stick around to hear the rest. I turned and headed back to the living room. My sister came out after finishing up in the kitchen. And when she saw me sitting on the couch staring into space, she asked, "What's wrong?" "Nothing. You tired? You should head home and get some sleep." "Yeah." I stood up, grabbed my jacket, and got ready to leave. As I passed the balcony door, Fong Su stubbed out his cigarette and walked back inside. He called out to me, "Ji Huai." I stopped. He walked up until he was standing right in front of me. My sister was still in the kitchen taking out the trash. The door closed. It was just the 2 of us in the living room. Fong Su was half a head taller than me. He stood there, looking down at me. Then he reached out. His fingers closed around my chin. With force. His fingertips dug into the flesh on either side of my jaw. I was forced to look up. I'll say this once. His voice was low, every word squeezed out between his teeth. Stop hanging around your sister all the time. She's my girlfriend, not your mom. From now on, stay out of her business. You hear me? His thumb pressed down harder on my chin. You're just a student living off handouts. Don't get cocky just because you've got a bunch of sisters at home. I don't like repeating myself. You take this in today, and we'll all get along fine. You don't. He let go, took a step back, patted me on the shoulder. Don't make trouble for yourself. The pain in my jaw was still there. I could feel the indent his fingernails had left behind. Fong Su had already turned around, and by the time he reached the balcony door, he'd lit another cigarette. His posture was loose, slouched, and he even rolled his neck, letting it crack with a dry snap, like he'd just handled something completely trivial. I stood there, hands at my sides, for 3 quiet seconds. Then I reached up and touched my chin. It stung a little. I thought about it, pulled out my phone, scrolled to my contacts, tapped Dad, hit call, ring, ring. It connected after 2 rings. Why are you calling so late? What's wrong? My dad's voice was as gentle as always. Dad. Yeah. What is it? My sister's boyfriend. I paused. He just grabbed my chin. There was a second of silence on the other end. Just 1 second. Then my dad said 4 words. Don't move. Wait. He hung up. Out on the balcony, Fong Su crushed out his cigarette and turned to look at me. Who were you calling? I slipped the phone back into my pocket. Gave him a smile. No one. My dad. Fong Su blinked. Then he smiled too. Alright. Well, I'll have to meet your old man sometime. He probably thought I was just some kid running to his parents to tattle. There was a hint of disdain in that smile, and a little bit of smugness. I didn't say anything else. I sat back down on the couch and opened a game on my phone. Waiting. Chapter 4. I know my dad. Ji Chengyuan, 48 years old, started from nothing 23 years ago, and now owns 6 companies spanning real estate, finance, and import-export. People in the industry call him President Ji. My mom calls him Old Ji. I call him Dad. He usually doesn't interfere much in my affairs. Not because he doesn't care, but because my sister and my cousins hover over me so tightly that there's never any room for him to step in. But some things, only he can handle. Don't move. Wait. Those 4 words have appeared exactly 3 times in my 19 years of life. The first time, I was 7. A boy 2 years older than me shoved me to the ground in our neighborhood. My dad got the call from my mom, said those 4 words. That very night, the boy's family showed up at our door with him to apologize, and the kid was crying so hard snot bubbles were coming out of his nose. The second time, I was 13. My homeroom teacher made me stand through an entire class as punishment. The reason? I'd taken the blame for a minor infraction on behalf of my deskmate, and the teacher hadn't bothered to hear me out. My dad got my call, said those 4 words. The next day, the principal personally invited me to his office and bought me a milk tea, while my teacher stood off to the side with a forced smile. So this was the 3rd time. Fong Su, you might not know the weight of those 4 words, but you're about to. I sat on the couch playing games for half an hour. Fong Su was off to the side whispering something to Zhang Lei, occasionally glancing my way. My sister came out of the kitchen and sat down next to me. You're not leaving? Why don't you just stay the night? I'll head out in a bit. Alright, let me cut you an apple. Okay. My sister went back to the kitchen to grab an apple. Fong Su leaned over and muttered to Zhang Lei in a lowered voice. See? Like this. Glued to him 24/7. I'm suffocating over here. Zhang Lei let out a low chuckle. I pretended not to hear. 9:43 p.m. The doorbell rang. Ding dong, everyone looked toward the door. My sister walked out holding an apple that was only half peeled. Who's that at this hour? She went to the door and opened it. 4 people stood outside. The one in front was my dad. Ji Chengyuan wore a dark gray cashmere overcoat. His hair combed perfectly in place. Behind him stood a man in his 30s wearing a black suit, holding a briefcase. That was his assistant, Mr. Zhou. And behind them, 2 more people. One was my eldest cousin, Lu Zheng. The other was my mom. My mom, Chengyun, rarely went anywhere with my dad. But tonight, she came. Her face was expressionless. But the fact that she showed up at all meant, this was no small matter. Dad? Mom? My sister froze. Why are you here? Cousin, you're also. My dad didn't answer her. The moment he stepped inside, his eyes found me. Then he walked over, stopped in front of me, crouched down. With one hand, he gently took hold of my chin and turned my face side to side. His touch was light, so light I could barely feel it, but his eyes were fixed on the 2 red marks on either side of my jaw. Fong Su's fingernail prints. Not fully faded yet. My dad's expression shifted from gentle to something else entirely. Very calm. Calm in a way that was anything but normal. He stood up, turned around, faced Fong Su, who was on the other side of the couch. Fong Su had already gotten to his feet by then. A smile was still on his face, but it had clearly gone stiff. Uncle, hello, I'm Fong Su. G. Rose, I know who you are. My dad's voice wasn't loud. It was almost gentle, even, but whatever Fong Su was about to say was cut off mid-sentence. The living room went quiet for 2 seconds. My mom walked over to me and looked down at my chin. She didn't say anything, but she drew in a breath. Lu Zheng stood by the door, arms crossed, watching Fong Su. Her expression was like she was looking at a dead man. Fong Su didn't know if it was because of the crowd or something else, but his smile was starting to falter. Still, he forced it to stay. Uncle, Auntie, what brings you here all of a sudden? Ro didn't mention anything beforehand. He was still calling my sister Ro. His voice was a little dry. My sister stood beside him, her face already turning wrong. She looked at my dad, then at me. Dad, what's going on? My dad didn't look at her. His gaze stayed pinned on Fong Su. Fong Su, right? Yes, that's me. You just touched my son. The moment those words came out, the smile on Fong Su's face finally shattered, like a thin sheet of ice, cracking right down the middle. His Adam's apple bobbed. Uncle, let me explain. We were just joking around. I asked you. My dad said, his pace unchanged, each word landing like a nail. Did you pinch my son's chin and tell him to stay away from his sister? Fong Su's face went white, completely white. He looked at me. I sat on the sofa, the game on my phone still glowing. I wasn't looking at him. I was peeling the apple my sister had given me. That's when my sister finally snapped back to reality. What? She turned to Fong Su, her voice completely different. What did you do? Fong Su opened his mouth. Ro. Tell him to stop calling her that. That was my mom's voice. Chengyun rarely lost her temper. She was the gentle, soft-spoken type. But when she said those words, Fong Su actually shut his mouth. My mom walked up to him. She was a head shorter than him, but Fong Su stepped back half a pace. Do you know who he is? My mom's voice was flat. I was on bed rest for 4 months carrying him. When he was born, his grandfather stood up from his wheelchair for the first time in years. 3 generations of the Qing family, and he's the only boy. You touched him. Fong Su's lips started trembling. He turned to my sister, like he was begging for help. Ro, I really didn't mean. My sister didn't look at him. She walked over to me, crouched down, and held my face in both hands, checking the mark on my chin. Then she stood up, turned to Fong Su. Leave. 2 words, softly spoken. But when Fong Su heard them, it was like all the bones had been pulled out of his body. Ro, let me explain. She told you to leave. Can't you hear? Lu Zheng's voice came from the doorway. She'd already opened the door. Fong Su's buddy Zhang Lei had somehow shrunk into the corner, his presence as thin as wallpaper. Fong Su's face cycled through red and white. He looked at my dad. My dad wasn't looking at him anymore. He was looking down at his phone, scrolling through his contacts. He stopped on a name. Secretary Zhou, he said without lifting his head. Fong Su, 25. Sales director at Xuyang Tech. Look into his company's business. Find out what overlaps with ours. Secretary Zhou nodded from the side. Yes. Chairman Ji. Fong Su's pupils contracted. Chairman Ji. He whipped his head toward Zhang Lei. Zhang Lei's face was even whiter than his. Ji Chengyuan. Zhang Lei's voice shook visibly. The Ji Chengyuan of Dongchen Group. No one answered him. But the silence itself was the answer. Fong Su's legs went weak. I could see his knees shaking. The kind of trembling that seeps out from the bone. Not fear of a person. Fear of an entire class crushing down on you. He was a sales director at Shuyang Tech, making 30,000 a month, thinking he was hot stuff, driving a BMW 3 Series, wearing a Longines watch, showing off to me all night long. And the man standing in front of him was Ji Chengyuan of Dongchen Group. That was the difference between driving a BMW and owning the assembly line that makes them. A dry swallow scraped down Fong Su's throat. Chairman Ji, I really didn't know. I didn't know. My dad finally lifted his head. He looked at Fong Su. Not knowing gives you the right to throw your hands around. Not knowing gives you the right to grab a 19-year-old boy by the chin and threaten him. His voice was still calm, but that calm was 10,000 times more terrifying than rage. Because rage is losing control. Calm is having it. He was telling Fong Su, you don't even qualify to make me angry. Chapter 5. Fong Su's lips began trembling uncontrollably. He tried to step back, but the edge of the coffee table dug into his calf, sending a sharp sting up his leg. Chairman Ji, I really just said a few words. I didn't mean any harm. Didn't mean any harm. My dad repeated those 4 words. He extended his hand. Secretary Zhou immediately pulled a sheet of paper from his briefcase and handed it over. My dad didn't take it. Secretary Zhou unfolded it directly, facing Fong Su. Shuyang Tech has 3 project procurement orders passing through Dongchen's supply chain subsidiaries this year. The smart warehousing equipment bid in May, the data center server procurement in July, and the logistics system contract set to be signed next month. Secretary Zhou adjusted his glasses. His tone as flat as someone reading a weather forecast. Total value, roughly 14 million. Fong Su's face went from white to gray. 14 million. That was nearly a quarter of his company's annual revenue. He busted his ass chasing deals. And his yearly numbers added up to about that figure. And this was just one insignificant little link in Dongchen Group's supply chain. Chairman Ji, Fong Su's voice had already warped. His breath unsteady. I was wrong. I really was wrong. Kneel and apologize. That wasn't my dad. It was my mom. Chengyun. She stood to the side, hands folded in front of her, looking straight into Fong Su's eyes. You grabbed my son's chin and made him look up at you. Now it's your turn to lower yourself. Fong Su's entire body went rigid. Zhang Lei was panting heavily in the corner, not daring to make a sound. Fong Su's knees bent slightly, but he didn't go down. Male pride making its last stand. My sister closed her eyes for a moment. Then she said one thing. Fong Su, whether you kneel today or not, once you walk out that door, we are done. That was the final blow. Fong Su's knees finally gave out. A heavy thud. Loud. Kneecaps hitting the floor. That sound echoed through the quiet living room for 2 full seconds. I'm sorry. The word squeezed out of his throat. I was wrong. Ji Huai. I'm sorry. He kept his head down. I could see the red crawling up the back of his neck. That particular shade of red that comes only when a man's pride has been shattered into dust. I was sitting on the sofa, the half-eaten apple still in my hand. I watched him kneel there. Honestly, there was no satisfaction in it. An hour and a half ago, when he grabbed my chin, I hadn't felt anger either. I just thought, he probably didn't understand how the world works. Some people you can mess with. Some people you don't touch. It wasn't because I was particularly powerful myself. It was just that I happened to be protected by a lot of powerful people. And Fong Su's biggest mistake was thinking I was someone he could bully. Get up, I said. Fong Su lifted his head. His eyes were so red they looked ready to bleed. The way he looked at me was complicated. Hatred, fear, regret. 3 emotions churning together, twisting his entire face out of shape. Don't come back, I said. That was the most I'd said the entire time. Fong Su pushed himself up off his knees. His legs were shaking. When he walked, he stumbled, catching the corner of the coffee table. Zhang Lei hurried over to steady him. The 2 of them looked like they were holding each other up while fleeing for their lives. When they reached the door, Fong Su suddenly stopped. He turned around, looked at my sister. His mouth opened, then closed. My sister didn't look at him. She had her back to the door, peeling an apple for me. The sound of the blade sliding across the skin was very soft. Fong Su's hand trembled. Then he left. The moment the door clicked shut, the air in the living room finally loosened. Lu Zheng walked over and sat down beside me, reaching out to ruffle my hair. Little ancestor, did he hurt you when he grabbed you? No. Let me see. She pulled my chin down and looked. It's all red and you're telling me no. I'm really fine. My mom walked over and yanked me up from the sofa. Come on. Come home with mom and stay a couple days. Mom, I have class tomorrow. Class is more important than you. Take leave. My dad had already finished his phone call. He walked over and looked at me, silent for 2 seconds. Then he gently patted my shoulder. If anyone bullies you in the future, don't hold back. Just call. I did call today. Yeah, he said, with a small smile. Good job. My sister still hadn't turned around. She stood by the kitchen doorway, gripping the fruit knife in her hand. The apple had been peeled long ago. She was just staring into space. I walked over. Sis. She turned. Her eyes were rimmed with red. I'm sorry. Why? It's not your fault. It's because I didn't see him for what he was. She sniffled, then shoved the peeled apple into my hand. Sis isn't dating anyone anymore. That's a bit much. It's not. She sniffled again. You matter more than any boyfriend. I opened my mouth. Wanted to say don't stop dating because of me. But looking at her red-rimmed eyes, the words got stuck in my throat. Forget it. Eat the apple first. My mom was tugging at Lu Zheng, rambling. I mean, what kind of person does that? Having the nerve to touch my son? From now on, Ro's blind dates have to go through me, every single one. Background check 3 generations deep. Lu Zheng nodded along absent-mindedly. Yes, Auntie, you're right. My dad was standing on the balcony, on another call. His voice was very low. I only caught the last line. Suspend the contracts on the Shuyang side. You write the reason. Secretary Zhou was taking notes beside him. I glanced at my dad's back on the balcony. Deep gray overcoat. Spine straight as a board. The way he makes calls is always the same, hands in his pockets. Casual as can be. Other people's lives and deaths are just a pending item in his contact list. That's my dad. Ji Chengyuan. He doesn't act often, but when he does, it's never just a single move. Chapter 6. I heard about what happened next from Han Jin. 3 days after Fong Su returned to his company, all 3 of his projects were frozen. The boss of Shuyang Tech personally came to ask him what was going on. Fong Su couldn't say. It wasn't like he could say I messed with Ji Chengyuan's son. That would have been handing in his resignation on the spot. On the 5th day, he was transferred out of the sales department. The reason given was internal restructuring. But everyone knew, he was finished. On the 7th day, Zhang Lei posted a status update on his moments. Brothers, never mess with rich people. This lesson, I'll remember for the rest of my life. The photo attached was a bowl of luocefen with double spice. On the 10th day, Fong Su sent my sister a WeChat message. She showed me what it said. Ji Ro, it was my fault. I know I'm not good enough for you. I hope you find happiness. Very proper. But my sister said the message was sent at 3:16 in the morning. A person living a normal life doesn't send messages like that at 3 a.m. My sister deleted him from her contacts. She didn't reply. Half a month later, Lu Zheng told me something. Fong Su had resigned from Shuyang. He'd moved away, apparently to some small city down south, working as an ordinary sales rep at some no-name company. The BMW was sold. The Longines was sold too. It wasn't us forcing him out, Lu Zheng said, scrolling through her phone. Speaking casually, your dad only suspended those contracts. He didn't do anything extra. But you know how that circle works, news travels fast. The Shuyang boss got scared on his own and kicked Fong Su out. You feel sorry for him? Not sorry. I bit into the apple. But I don't hate him either. Lu Zheng looked at me and smiled. You're still the same as always. No matter who's harsh with you, you never get worked up. Why would I? It's not like I could beat him in a fight. You don't need to beat him. She reached over and flicked my forehead. You just need to make one phone call. I rubbed my forehead and hummed in agreement. True. Being born into this family, some things really don't require you to lift a finger. That night, as I was lying in my dorm bed, my sister sent me a message. Why? What do you want for lunch tomorrow? I replied. Anything. No, anything. Aloud. Pick one. Braised pork ribs. Okay. I'll make it for you tomorrow. 2 seconds later, another message came through. If anyone's ever unkind to you, you tell your sister right away. You hear me? I stared at that message for a few seconds. Typed out a few words. Got it. After sending it, I added one more line. Sis, don't stay up too late. You too. I put down my phone. Stared at the ceiling. The Ching family had gone 3 generations without a single son. Before my mother gave birth to me, my eldest aunt, second aunt, and third aunt had produced 7 daughters combined. My grandfather had been confined to a wheelchair for 10 years. The day I was born, he stood up. From that day forward, every woman in this family has been fighting tooth and nail to be good to me. They poured 3 generations worth of regret and longing, every last drop of it, straight into me. Sometimes it's hard to breathe, but most of the time, I feel lucky. After all, in this world, most people would consider it a luxury just to have one person who genuinely cares about them. And I have an entire clan. My phone screen flickered. A message from Han Jin. Bro, there's a senior from my college asking me out to dinner tomorrow. Should I go? I typed back. What senior? Just a senior from my department. He's a nice guy. What does he drive? He rides a bicycle. Why are you asking me that? Trying to screen him for you. What if he turns out to be a second Fong Su? Get lost. I set the phone down. Smiled. Growing up spoiled by the whole family, it's not all good. And it's not all bad either. At the very least, nobody dares to casually grab my chin anymore.